morning. Good to see you all. Welcome in this. Wait there. I'm gonna turn this around for y'all so you can see what I see when I experience the North Carolina sunrise. Let me spin this. Hold on there. Mirror rooster foot. Wait. I gotta. This is always my problem, but I do not have another spot in my house that experience the sunrise. The only other option I would have is to go down, go outside, and go in my car. I am not doing that. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm not doing that, but this is the only window I have in this direction. Don't blame me. I didn't build a house. I only live here, okay? So we will take what we can get, what we have, and we will make the best of it. That's all I can say. Okay? So here we are experiencing the morning sunrise. Just as it is. All right? So morning everybody. How is everybody doing? How is everybody doing this morning? It is March 22nd of 2025. Yeah. It's it's another morning when we are going to be doing what we do in the mornings over here. Oh no, sir, from before 3 o'clock I wake up. From before 3 o'clock I have been up doing all kinds of things that I didn't get to do last night. And then I just decided that, all right, I'm going to go live now. I should have gone live before, but hey, here I am right now. But why does it look like there is a shadow or some kind of a shade over the live? Hold on, the people. Hold on there. Here I am. But it looks like there is some kind of a shadow or some kind of a shade. So you all are not able to see. You all are not. What is this? You all are not able to see the sunrise like I am seeing it. What went wrong? Did I do something wrong? Um. Um. Let's see. That should probably be better. All right, let's see if this is better. Take a look right there and let's see. So, excuse me guys. So this morning we are going to continue. We are going to continue with the reading of Jeremiah. Oh my God, Jeremiah is such an interesting character in the Bible. He is such an interesting character, and it delights me to read it. I have read it. I read the book of Jeremiah several times, and there are people here who have also read it. There were some of you who have been with us online while we have read it, and we have had robust conversations about the contents of the book of Jeremiah. And this time around, we are going to do more of the same. We are going to read it again, and we are going to talk about what's in it. Now, last time when we read, which was 2-3 days ago, when we were reading the book of Jeremiah, we came across where Jeremiah is saying, you know, all these things that he says the Lord has told him. Remember, he's the one who says the Lord has told him these things. And one of the things that struck me, one of the things that struck me was that he said God told him that he had never. Who is calling me? Hold on. All right. So one of the things that Jeremiah said God told him was that he had never required anybody to sacrifice their sons or their daughters, because remember, as you're reading in Jeremiah, I want us to get our minds into the times when these things were written. Whether or not they were true or false, that is beside the point at the moment. But I want us excuse me, to visualize what was happening at the time. I know this might be hard for some people, because if you have not read the whole Bible, or even some corresponding chapters, books, I should say, you may not understand what was going on then. But during that time, when Jeremiah claimed to have spoken to God, or vice versa, the children of Israel really it was all dismantled, if you will. They were Israel was broken down. Jerusalem was broken down. The whole community, there were just a few people left there. People had just abandoned the whole movement, and they had gone. They were not upholding the teachings of Moses anymore. People had gotten frustrated. People had gotten tired. People were just like, you know what? Times have changed, things have changed. There's no reason for us to remain tethered to these cult-like behaviors. Um, it's to people, it was starting to be questionable what they were doing. Some people remained loyal because, after all, this is what all they knew. This is what they were taught by their parents and grandparents, and these traditions had been handed down to them, and they felt like they would be causing a great disservice to their ancestors if they ever abandoned these teachings. But then there were others who were like, you know what, to heck with all of this is not making any sense. We are going to move away from here. We're going to go away. We're going to go live our lives. And so that led to Jerusalem being broken down, lost its strength, not being a formidable force as it was in the region. So Jeremiah, and his desire to see his people return to come rebuild this once great city, he says God talked to him, and God was telling him that, these people are are now terrible people. These people have backslidden and they have gone to the north, and they are now worshiping other gods, and they are sacrificing children. Because if you know of Molech in the Bible, that was some god that had required people to sacrifice their children. So Jeremiah Jeremiah said God told him that's what these people were now practicing. But in the same Bible, in that same chapter, I think it was chapter 7, verse about 31, 32, somewhere around there, where Jeremiah said God said it had never come in his heart to ask anybody to sacrifice their child. And once I read that, like something went off in my mind, and I thought, wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. Because if God told Jeremiah that he had never requested anybody to sacrifice their child, my mind went straight back to Abraham. Y'all remember the story of Abraham that we read in Genesis? Okay, so if y'all don't remember, you can go look it up in Genesis 22, I believe it was. I'm talking off my head now, so if I get it wrong, just Google it. In Genesis, I believe chapter 2, Abraham said God told him to go sacrifice Isaac. And that, these are the things that I say to y'all, that the Bible has a lot of inconsistencies, which brings forth the question of the veracity of its content. Excuse me. I opened the window for y'all to see the morning, but then this cold breeze here is tickling my throat. But anyway, it's a sacrifice to make. Right. So, my thoughts went right back to Abraham, and I said, if God said it has never come in his heart to require anybody to sacrifice their child, it begs for the question, then who told Abraham was to sacrifice Isaac? Because Abraham said it was God who told him so. And despite the fact that Abraham didn't go through with it because of some godly intervention, according to the Bible, it still would not mean that it never came into God's heart, if what Abraham said was true. Okay? So it's either, this is what I am going to say in regards to that, somebody is lying, or everybody is lying. Because if you say to me, whatever God says today, tomorrow, and forever, it remains. He never changes his mind because he knows what he wants to say. He says what he wants to say, and he does not change. Then you have to answer me as to how come these were two people who claim to have been led by God, who claim to have heard God tell them what they said God told them, but it was different. Okay? Jeremiah said God told him he would never ask anybody to sacrifice their son or their daughter. Abraham said God told him to sacrifice Isaac. And then we come to the New Testament. And in the New Testament, God causes his own son to be sacrificed. So, I don't know. This is all a bunch of conflict right here. Who is going to resolve it? This is almost like Job. Job said, if I'm wrong, who is going to point that out to me? Who is going to be able to prove that I am wrong? So right now, I have the same question. Who is going to be able to prove what the truth in this matter is going to be? None of us can. Therefore, we're just going to read it and move right along. Because you can't prove the truth of it. I can't prove the truth of it. I am reading to find the truth about it, and you are declining to read it because you don't want to have to face the truth of it. Therefore, that makes us on the same page, on two different pages. So, if you are somebody, excuse me, therefore, if you are somebody who gets triggered by me pointing out whatever is in the Bible that I find to be confusing, ambiguous, untruthful, well, I don't know if it's true or not. They're just inconsistent, let me say. That's what I should say. Or the inconsistencies of the Bible, and you are triggered by it, sweetheart, this is not the place for you. Okay, because you're going to get triggered. Your feelings going to get hurt. That's not why I'm here. I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings, and I'm not here to trigger anybody. But I do understand where you're coming from. I used to be there, where when I hear people say whatever is in the Bible is made up, it's nonsense, it's inconsistent, it's a bunch of lies. I used to get triggered too, and I would say, "You're heathen, you're gonna die, you're gonna go to hell," and all of this thing. And then I had an awakening. I had to stop, listen to myself, and make the determination that I have got to read this book for myself. I have got to read it for myself and get the context of the conversations that's in it, so that when I say to somebody, this particular story has a lot of questions in it, this particular story does not seem plausible, that I have good reason to say so, rather than just saying it from a point of me having been indoctrinated from childhood. Okay, so after having said that, we are going to move right along. I'm sorry, this cold breeze is giving me a warm time. Excuse me, people. All right, so this morning here now, we are going to move right along into the continuation of the book of Jeremiah. Okay, for those of you who were not here when we were reading the book of Jeremiah, you might want to go back and read it for yourself. I know I was supposed to start chronicling it on my YouTube channel. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but I will. I will get around to it. I just can't read all of it in one day and stuff, but I will get there some way, somehow. Okay? But you can go ahead and start reading it on your own, because here in Jeremiah we see where it appears to me that God and Jeremiah is creating a plot. Yes, there is a plot going on. There's some kind of conspiracy. According to Jeremiah, God has told him to tell the people, to go persuade the people who have gone north to come back south, come back to Jerusalem, come back to set up their thrones around the city of Jerusalem so that they can guard the city. All right? He said God was the one who told him this to tell the people. Okay? And he's going on to explain to us why. He's going on to explain to us. Hold on, what is texting? Um, okay. Okay. So he has gone on to explain to us, to justify, to justify why God would want these people to come back to Jerusalem to rebuild the city. Okay? So we are going to continue with the reading. I believe when we stopped last time, we stopped at, why do I have so many markings in this Bible. I almost forgot where we stopped last time. And the people were here. My bad. My bad, my friends. I totally forgot where we stopped last time. Totally forgot. I think it was chapter 10 is where we ended. I think. Well, whatever the case may be, we are going to continue. Oh my, the sunrise is beautiful. We are going to read chapter 10, the great disparity between God and the idols. Hmm. Let us read. We're going to read chapter 10, people. Chapter 10 says, Hear ye the word which the Lord speaks unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, Learn not the ways of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cuts a tree out of the forest, and the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it not move. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must they must needs be they must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. For as much as there is none like unto thee, O Lord, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. Who would not fear thee, O King of nations? For to thee doth it appertain, for as much as among all the wise men of the nations and in all their kingdoms there is none like unto thee. But they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. Silver spread into plates is brought from Tarshish, and gold from Uphaz, the work of the workman, and of the hands of the founder. Blue and purple is their clothing. They are all the work of cunning men. But the Lord is the true God. He is the living God, and an everlasting King. At his wrath the earth shall tremble, and the nations shall not be able to abide his indignation. Thus shall ye say unto them, The gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. Now these gods that he's condemning are, the gods that the children of Israel have gone on to worship, these what they call idols, these false gods that they have made out of stone and out of wood and whatever else they make them out of. Okay. He hath made the earth by his power. He hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heavens by his discretion. When he utters his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causeth the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He makes lightnings with rain, and brings forth the wind out of his treasures. Every man is brutish in his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. Now this is the condemnation for the graven image, where they say those are falsehoods, false gods. But at the same time, I know a lot of people say, oh yes, God speaks to these people and it is real. People have had deep contentions about whether or not they have spoken with God themselves. And a lot of people do not believe that this is even possible, that anybody can talk to God. It's all a figment of the imagination. As for me, I don't believe that anybody talks to any God. I mean, I think nobody talk to no God. You know, I'm not here for your agreement. You may agree, you may not. Don't change my position one bit. Right. I don't think nobody talks to any God. When people go to say they go to pray, they're praying to ask God for favors. I always find question with that. Like, what's the point? What's the point of you going to ask God for a favor? God has predestined everything, if there is such a thing, right? Let's be reasonable and practical here. Put away your biases and let's talk about this. So if God knows everything and God has determined everything, remember Jeremiah saying, God told him he knew him from in his before he was formed in his mother's womb. He knows his destiny, he knows everything. So if God knows everybody's destiny and everything that is going to happen to everybody, what's the point of you going on your knees, going to pray, to ask him for a favor? Wouldn't it be that he has already determined your fate? Wouldn't it be that he already knows what's going to happen to you? So if you go to him to say to him, I am sick, I need you to heal me, but he has already predestined you to be this sick and to die from this illness. So what's the point of you going to ask him? You ask him to change his mind? You asking him to give you preferential treatment as opposed to somebody else? What's the point? And I ask this question genuinely, you know, from a practical point of view. And people say, oh, you're human, you don't understand, you don't understand God and how God works. I am human, and you also are human. What do you think is there about you that would make you be able to understand God's position differently than I would be able to understand that position? What magic do you possess that I, as another human being, do not possess? What makes you think that you, as a human being just like me, would be closer to God to be able to get curry favor that I wouldn't be able to get? That's my question. Excuse me. I just ask these questions because I would like another human being to be able to answer me, because I'm not that person who's going to sit down and wait for my answer to come from the unknown. To wait for me to just wake up one morning and have a eureka moment, like, I found the answer. The answer is in me going to pray. I need to go pray. No, I want practical stuff, real stuff. Okay? But since we know we're not going to get it, we're not going to be waiting around forever. We're going to continue reading. Jeremiah says, they are vanity and the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things. And you hear that? The portion of Jacob would include the descendants, his descendants. Those would be considered the children of Israel, who were supposedly God's people, and the rest of the world was of no value. Let me just say that. So he says here, the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord is host of his host in his name. Gather up thy wares out of the land, O inhabitants of the fortress. For thus saith the Lord, behold, I will sling out the inhabitants of the land at this once, and will distress them, that they may find it so. Woe is me for my hurt. My wound is grievous. But I said, truly, this is a grief, and I must bear it. My tabernacle is spoiled, and all my cords are broken. My children are gone forth of me, and they are not. There is none to stretch forth my tent any more, and to set up my curtains. For the pastors, and that is pastors as in pastors, preachers. For the pastors are become brutish, and have not sought the Lord. Therefore they shall not prosper, and all their flocks shall be scattered. All right. So Jeremiah is saying that God is telling him that these pastors, these people who were supposed to have kept the children of Israel tethered to the doctrine, these pastors did a piss poor job. They were not able to have the doctrine remain as convincing as it usually was, to be able to have the people continuously bounded to it. The doctrine had gotten weak, there wasn't enough vigor in it to keep the people spellbound. So that's why the people were able to be infiltrated, their thoughts were able to be infiltrated by the outside world. And if you understand this, you will understand why Moses trying to ensure that this did not happen, Moses had told the people that God said he did not want them to be associated with the outside. He did not want the outside world to influence them so much that they would turn their backs on this doctrine. So here now Jeremiah say, God is telling him that this is what has happened. The pastors did not do a good job, if you will. For the pastors, they have become brutish and have not sought the Lord. Therefore, they shall not prosper, and all their flocks shall be scattered. Behold, the noise of the brewery is come, and a great commotion out of the north country, to make the cities of Judah desolate, and a den of dragons. O Lord, I know that the way of man is not in himself. It is not in man that walks to direct his steps. O Lord, correct me, but with judgment, not in thine anger, lest thou bring me to nothing. Pour out thy fury upon the heathen that know thee not, and upon the families that call not on thy name. For they have eaten up Jacob, and devoured him, and consumed him, and have made his habitation desolate. Let us continue. Jeremiah, in his efforts to assist in the reestablishment of Israel, he has to condemn the people who we see now as being responsible for Israel having been broken down to begin with. The people whose doctrine the descendants make your side seems good. Life part's just the same. But let us continue. We are on to chapter 11 of the book of Jeremiah. Morning, guys. Morning, guys. Welcome into the live. You all are experiencing North Carolina sun. It's not as robust as it usually is, but it is there. I'm not sure what phenomenon is going on in in the atmosphere at the moment, but the morning sunrise is not as robust as it usually is. But let us continue. We are